How are you doing? It's a beautiful Wednesday morning. Welcome to Jam 316. Today is Wednesday, so we are having the financial clinic, the Clinic Yamfuko. One time I was invited to be part of this class, and it was a class on finances. And so my good friend Lucy Njine was the one teaching the class that day. And so she asked us a question. What kind of life do you want to live when you retire? And she caused us to start imagining, where do you want to live? Do you want to live in the city? Do you want to live in Geshagi? And we painted this picture. What kind of house do you want to live in? How many rooms does it have? You know, we painted this glossy picture. And then she asked us, how are you going to sustain all that? Let's backtrack. How old are you? At what age will you retire? And we did the calculations. This is how many more salaries you have until you retire. Talk about reality hitting you like a ton of bricks. And all of us in that class realized we have dreams, yes, but the reality on the ground is different. We are not preparing for retirement. Retirement is something a lot of us don't talk about. We are hardly taught about retirement. We are taught how to get a good job and go out there and get this good job, do this business, but we are never told how to prepare for that place where you will not have enough energy to work as hard as you're working right now. How will you be able to sustain yourself? That's what we want to look at today, investing for retirement. I'm sure this conversation will be beneficial to you. I have an amazing guest who's going to be joining us in the next short while to help us begin to understand what kind of things we need to invest on as we think about retirement as coming up shortly. In the meantime, some good music, even as we get into this discussion. Remember, once again, your comments are welcome, and your questions are also welcome. 20316 is the SMS line. WhatsApp number is 0786 316. Beautiful Wednesday morning. My name is James Okumu, welcoming you on board. In case it's your first time to interact with us, it's the Financial Clinic. We do this every week, Wednesday, 8 to 9 on both Family TV and Family Radio 316, where we talk about our finances and helping each other to be more financially literate, sharing our struggles here and there, our victories, lessons to learn, and it's good. Today we talk about investing for retirement. Very, very important topic that many times we don't get the opportunity to be taught about or even to talk about. Joining us via Zoom today, we have the CEO of Centonomy, my good friend Waithaka Katumia. Always a blessing to have you on board, my friend. Karibu sana.
Asante sana. What a pleasure to be here as well. Big hi to Bwana Slingerland.
Yes.
it has been a while. I have to give thanks, and you thank God for where you started in life.
Yes.
He was my first boss out of university.
Wow.
He gave me my first job.
Yes.
And so a big thank you to Mr. Slingerland and for the work he and his family have been doing in getting this gospel out to Africa. So say hi for me, please.
I will. I'm sure he's watching. It's interesting because the same thing applies to me. He was the first guy to give me my first job, and I'm always forever grateful. Yeah, talking about jobs, even as we get into this discussion of retirement and investing for retirement, at what point should somebody start thinking about retirement?
About 6 years old or so. I think that's a good place to start.
6 years old? Are you for real?
I'm very real.
Why 6 years old?
Why not?
Many of us begin thinking about retirement when the fifth floor is beckoning and you're thinking,
No. Now you're too close. You're too close to start thinking. You need to have prepared in advance. That's why I'm saying literally we should start preparing our children for retirement. First of all, what is retirement?
Yes.
I think that's what we need to define, because I know people who are in their 30s. I know people who are in their 40s. I know some young people who have not even turned 20 yet, and they are retired, essentially.
Okay.
So what is retirement? Retirement, it has nothing to do with age. I think there are laws that have been put in place to manage society. But it's really, this is how we define retirement at Centonomy. The point at which you stop having to work in order to eat. And you can achieve that very early in life.
Okay.
In fact, some people are born retired. if you leave your children a good enough inheritance,
yes,
they don't have to work. I mean, many people don't have to work, but I think, and I can speak freely here because we are people of faith in this room.
Yeah.
Let me speak freely. I think we are called to work. So work was never your source of provision. I think the Bible speaks about the fact that God is our source. He is our fountain. And so provision is not a result of our work. Our work it comes out of obedience because we have been called to work.
Yeah.
So it is not that it's not that we have because we put in all the effort. I don't think that is the principle that the Bible speaks about. We have because he provides, but he has also called us. In fact, I think the Bible does say that we are co-workers with God.
Yeah.
That he has called us into this world to be of value and to be like him. He is our Father, and we have been called to be like him. And he was productive. He is productive.
Yes.
God has continuously been working. We see the example in Genesis chapter 1 where he was working and then he took a rest. And so he called us the same way and said, go forth, be fruitful and multiply. Work. In fact, even I think it's Genesis 2 where he now gives them work. He says actually work. This was one of the first commandments. Go work.
Yes.
Do something with your life. However, he had already provided for everything that we needed. Adam was not in need. He didn't have to earn anything in order to have the provision to eat, to sleep, to live where he was. The provision was there. The work was out of a command. And so when we come back to that definition, and now in this space, we're able to say, so work was never an issue of, oh, this is how you're going to eat. No, he is the provider.
Yeah.
Work is our calling. Work is what he has called us to do.
So based on what you've just said, then does that mean there's a difference between work and a job?
Yes, for sure. I think there's an amazing documentary. I think it's on Netflix at this moment. I highly recommend it, on Bill Gates. Now, Bill Gates is one of those people. Bill Gates, if you don't know who he is, he was one of the founders of Microsoft, has been consistently one of the wealthiest men in history, wealthiest men in the world currently. Bill Gates has enough money, wealth, that his children, as in like generations to come with his wealth, don't need to work. But at this moment, he's working probably harder than most people around the world because he has found what his calling is. He is trying to, at this time, use his abilities, his resources to solve world health problems that countries and governments have been unable to do. This guy has enough, he literally has enough money to own his own country. I mean, he's wealthier by himself than many countries as a whole.
Wow.
So he does not need to work. But he is now, if you have seen him over and over again, working extremely hard to deal with issues of malaria, to deal with issues of sanitation, to deal now, especially in these COVID times, with the issue of COVID-19 and how to get vaccines out and how to do all the things that are there. He does not need to work. He does not need a job.
Yes.
But he is busy working, reading, being productive, and that is the calling that is upon us. So I don't know if he's a believer or not, but you see, God is fair. He makes rain to fall on those who are believers and those who are not.
Yeah.
And if he is following the principle of work, then the blessing of God will be upon him. This is why Christians, sometimes we struggle. We wonder, we look at the world and we're saying, how is it that they're being blessed? You see, God does.
Principles are principles. Yeah.
The principle is the principle.
Yes.
And you will find that there are people in the world. In fact, isn't it Jesus who said that sometimes the people of the world are wiser than those in the kingdom?
Yes.
And so we need to pick up on that and begin to understand this is not about a job. We have been called to work. So work will be with us whether we are earning or whether we are not.
Yes.
So when I defined it earlier on and I said wealth is the ability to live the lifestyle that we want without having to work. We mean that job that is putting food in your mouth at this point.
Very true.
So we want to get to the point that you have assets. We talked about this before. Assets that are working for you so that you can be doing the work that God has called you to. I think that's what retirement is. So as I said, 6 years old, you need to be thinking about retirement.
So talk to me. Tell me, what are some common mistakes we make when it comes to preparing for retirement?
Waiting, number one.
The waiting room is full.
We just talked about right now. Yeah. We're waiting for a certain age to start saying, oh, this is when things are going to happen. No, don't wait. Start now. We need to be like our Father in heaven. He saw what he wanted and he called it out. One of the things we don't do is we also don't define what we want. So by not defining it, we have no target, we have no goal. God called the things that are not as though they were. In fact, and we called to do the same thing. So I want everyone who's listening to this is the same principle. This is what I'm talking about. And I see it amongst those who are wealthy in the world, those who are in the world, and those who are in the kingdom. If you listen, I encourage people, read autobiographies, read about people. One of the most inspiring ones that I don't know why he has not put it down in a book, but I read it in an article and I also heard himself talk about it.
Yes.
I know you know a gentleman called S.K. Masharia.
Yes.
S.K. Masharia, when he was a young man, he wanted to go to the U.S. to study. He was one of the top students in Kenya, in Africa. And if you remember, I think they were called the Mboya airlifts, the ones where young men and women were being taken around the world for education.
Yes.
This is now 1950s.
19
those ones.
Yes.
He didn't. The only thing you were required to do as a family was to raise funds for the air ticket. Everything else was taken care of. SK came from a poor family. He could not even afford the ticket. So he missed. Imagine the plane left. What would you have done at that point, Pastor? The plane has gone. Your family has. What would you have done?
What else is there to do? Si maisha iendelee tu.
So most people, you'd have gone back to the village and said, my church has gone, everything has gone. SK got on a bus and went to the US.
On a bus?
Yes.
Alipanda basi? How?
Yes. You know how you get, I'm sure you've gotten on a bus before, Pastor.
Yes, yes.
That's how he did it, and he went to the US.
But there's no bus. There's no bus that goes to the US.
This is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That when you see somebody finding success, look where it started from. He got on that bus. He had a goal. I am going to the US by whatever means possible. So he got on a bus. It took him to South Sudan, through Libya. He got, you heard of the port of Benghazi, got on a ship in Benghazi, crossed Europe, crossed the English Channel, went into the UK and found a couple who sponsored him to go to the US. Do you know he studied in the US?
Wow.
And so when we talk about faith here in this place, Hebrews chapter 11 talks about faith as, what is it?
The evidence of things hoped for.
The substance
of things hoped for, yeah. Evidence of things not seen.
Things not seen.
Yes.
When you are planning for your retirement, that is called faith. Because you have said, this is what I want.
Yeah.
I want a certain type of lifestyle, a certain type of house. And based on that faith, you take action. And so that's why we're saying when we look at people who have created wealth in their lives, look where it came. It didn't come from nowhere.
Yeah.
You know, look, there's those we can talk about corruption and other things, but those ones we know, they will be sorted. Don't ever envy those people who have stolen in their lives.
Yeah.
Don't envy them.
They will be sorted.
God will deal with them.
Yes.
But there are those who have generated wealth honestly, and it came from a position of faith. They saw a future that nobody else. and they chose to walk in line with that future. So the first thing, as I talked about, is this thing of waiting. No, talk to your children. Where would you like to live? What would you like to do with your life? What are the kind of things that you want to achieve? That's the first place to begin. Don't wait. Start. Because if you wait, the amount of work that you need to do in your 50s to achieve your, by the time you're 60, let's say if the stopping having to work in order to eat is 60,
Yeah.
then you have 10 years. But if you're starting when you're 6, you have 54 years within which to multiply your work over that period of time, and the results are only greater. Pastor James. Go ahead. Yeah.
Wacha nikuulize swali. You see, the thing is, for a good number of people, they are barely surviving today. Yeah? So, people are all over the place trying to put food on the table for today. Hata next week sitaki kufikiria, bora leo nimepata kaugali na kasukuma, Jehova mwadhani thegio mono. Life goes on. And so now, here you are telling me to start thinking about the future. I'm not even sure whether I'll survive next week. Leo ni shida. How do I even begin that?
Pastor, you've seen me here before. I will repeat myself, and I told you. Let me tell you, when you find your calling in life.
Yes.
There was a friend of mine we were meeting recently, and he said, well, Kana, you have found your place. And I think I have. By God's grace, I found my place where, God willing, I'm going to help those people as well. There is a misconception, Pastor, that this idea of investment of growth has to do with large amounts.
Yes.
No. Biblical principles, Pastor, you tell me. Those who are faithful in a few things will be put in charge of many things. Matthew chapter 25, the parable of
the talents.
The talents. It was never an issue of the amount that you had. It was an issue of, can you be faithful with what you have? And let me tell you, Pastor, we have talked about this over and over again. If you cannot manage 100 shillings, you cannot manage 100 million. Let me just be clear.
Yeah.
And we see that over and over again. Can't manage 100 shillings, can't manage 100. Let me show you what I mean, Pastor. A good example is one of these, one of the biggest companies we have in East Africa.
Yes.
You know them.
Yes.
A telecom company. You know where they make their money? 1 shilling a day. That's how they make their money. One. You know what happens? They tell this person who you're saying cannot afford to eat, but they have a phone.
Yeah.
They have a phone.
Yeah.
And on that phone of theirs, that person has paid for what is called a ringtone. I won't even mention the brand.
Yes.
And they are paying daily 1 shilling. In fact, now most of them have gone up to 1 shilling and 50 cents. You find that many of these ringtones now you're even paying up to 5 shillings per day. Now watch this. I'm always interested because we always have conversations. Our house help here, she's an amazing, wonderful lady, takes care of our kids. But every time I call her, I hear a different ringtone.
Oh.
That means she has probably 4 or 5 ringtones on her phone. One is 1 shilling 50 cents. The other one is 2 shillings. The other one is 3.50. The other one is 5 bob, and the other one is maybe 1 shilling and 50 cents. So daily, she is paying 10 shillings that she doesn't even know about.
Yes.
If she was to transform that 10 shillings and begin to invest it, an investment just means simply saving. That means that yearly, that's over 3,000 shillings that we're talking about here. That if invested over a 10-year period of time, that is a plot. In fact, that's not just a plot, that's a house. So the faithfulness with the small amounts. Because, look, Pastor James, there are some people who don't even have even a phone. They don't even so they're not spending. So for those people who are in a very dire position, it is for us who have to work out how we're going to give. For them, look, when people are in abject poverty, let me tell you, and we were told, Jesus said we will always have the poor with us, isn't it? So there is a calling upon us as believers and as people in general to give. Them we must give. But those who even are earning a small amount, that is the small amount you need to begin to manage. And the principle is the same. You see, in the parable of the sower, I'm feeling like I'm preaching to you, Pastor. I don't know. You should be not preaching to me.
Preach, my friend.
About
yes.
That one seed would result in 100-fold. We're just teaching our kids now. They've just planted. They're all small. They've just planted their first maize in life.
Yeah.
And they put one seed in the ground, and now there's a maize cob that is there that has 100. It has multiplied 100 times.
Yeah.
So that small amount actually matters. So again, we started off with this. You are talking about what are the mistakes we're making in planning for retirement.
Yeah.
Number one is waiting. Don't wait. And number two is thinking that the investment is large amounts. No, it's over time, being faithful with the small amounts, and you will see the multiplying effect that God has upon your life.
Okay.
And you see this with across the world. Doesn't matter who you are.
Let's take a pause there, giving you the opportunity to be able to ask your questions today. We're talking about investing for retirement. 20316 SMS line, WhatsApp number 0786 316 316. Beautiful Wednesday morning. Ni Kliniki ya Mfuko Financial Clinic, and today we are talking about investing for retirement. Inviting your questions on 20316, WhatsApp on 0786 316 316. Today, I get to hang out with a good friend, CEO of Sentonomy Waithaka Gatumia, with us in studio via Zoom. Anatupatia maoni yake na anatupatia wisdom yake when it comes to investing for retirement. Okay, let's talk about avenues. Now that we have established, we should not wait, and it's not in the amount. One seed can germinate to be 1,000 seeds, or can germinate to be a whole forest. So what are some of these avenues that one can begin to use to actually invest the little or the much they have as they think about retirement?
Okay. So we need to think about the goal, okay? So as you plan for the goal, then you work backwards.
Yeah.
I love using this example because it's so clear. If you saw our brother Eliud Kipchoge last year,
yes,
he knew that his goal was 1:59:59. It was very specific. It was clear. Now, based on that, they were able to work backwards to the starting of the race.
Yes.
So that they knew where he needs to be at any one point along the way to achieve the final goal. If you remember, there was even a laser on the ground in front of him. A car was putting a laser and saying, you need to be here.
Yeah, yes.
In order to get to the 1:59:59. That was because he had the goal. So you need, first of all, to say, what do I want? Where is that goal? I know, Pastor, you want to live in Karen on 2 acres so that you don't see your neighbor.
Hallelujah.
There are people who don't mind seeing their neighbor, but I know you don't want to be able to see your neighbor. Far away. So it's 2 acres in Karen, a type of house. You see, when you have that as your vision, it has a number to it.
Yes.
Now you're talking about $2-3 million, 200 million shillings, like that. That's what you're talking about in terms of assets, net worth at that point. So based on that, now you say, where am I today? So I have how many? 10 years, let's say in your case, or 15 years, or 20 years, depending. In 10 years, I have to raise a certain amount of money. Therefore, my investment must be multiplying at the level that will get us to that point.
Yeah.
If I am 20 years old and I have described the lifestyle I want, that by the time I'm 40, I want to be relaxed and take it easy. So I have 20 years. You see, you're making it a specific goal. I want to live here, live like this, have this amount. If you put down a number, then you work backwards. For most people, you need to be multiplying your investment as much as possible for as long as possible. So what does that mean? If you are a 20-year-old listening to me right now, you need to be investing almost everything you're earning, because you're probably still living home with your parents.
Yeah.
You're living at home with your parents, Any income that you get, invest. And when I say invest, I mean it needs to be growing faster than inflation.
Yes.
So I'm trying to put so much information in a small, let me go slowly.
Yes.
So you'll be saving some of that money. When you say save, you're putting cash aside, like in a savings account for an emergency, so that at least you have some cash. So there's the part for saving. So put a little bit in savings. But majority of your work now as a 20-year-old is multiplying. So you are investing, which means it's growing faster than inflation. So you need to look for investments that are growing faster than inflation.
Okay.
Let me give you examples. If you are sitting at home and you buy some unga, some sugar, some eggs, and some other things that make cakes, obviously you can tell I'm not a baker. When you buy those things, you will be able to sell a cake at a multiplied effect.
Yeah.
So you buy ingredients for 500 shillings, but you'll sell a cake for 1,500. You have multiplied. Take that 1,500 and buy enough ingredients to make 3 or 4 cakes and multiply. So at that point, you are growing faster than inflation. In fact, at that rate, you're moving at probably 1,000% even per day, depending on how well you're able to sell your cakes.
Yeah.
That is your work. Your work is to do that. The moment you get a job, you need to look for which investments are growing faster than inflation, because that is your goal. Now, listen to this. People don't like those investments because they inherently have more risk.
Yes.
But where there is greater risk, there is greater potential return.
Yeah.
The parable of the sower, there was risk. He threw the seeds. Some fell on the ground and they were trampled. See, he lost. That was a loss.
That was a loss.
risk.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some fell in the stones and they dried up. That was a loss. It was a risk. Some fell in the weeds. That was a loss. That was a risk. But because he was faithful in sowing, some of them fell on fertile ground and multiplied. So what he was doing, and this is the thing about risk, it's not, don't just take risk, because people also make the mistake of, hey, here's a new investment, let me just put money without doing the research. No. You invest in what you understand, and write this down for everybody who's listening. You take calculated risk.
What does that
calculated mean? Risk. It means, like that sower, he calculated that I know some of this seed, it will fall on it will not give me a return. But if I'm faithful in doing it, some of it will fall on fertile ground and it will give such a multiplied effect. Even the losses that I made on that side are covered. That is a calculated risk. Now, if you have no idea about farming, you don't even till the ground, you just go and throw seeds into a field. Imagine some will germinate, some will. You'll get a harvest. Maybe 2 maize stalks in 2 acres will give you a harvest. That is just taking a risk. But if you plow the ground, if you put manure, if you put fertilizer, if you wait for the rainy season, all these things are reducing the amount of risk that you're putting on, and therefore it is a calculated risk. Let us apply it now to our lives. So you who is at home, 20-year-old, 30-year-old.
We're losing you, my friend. We had lost you a bit. We had lost you a bit, Go back to the 20-year-old, 30-year-old. Yes, you're back.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So 20-year-old, 30-year-old. This is how we invest, So people are investing in companies such and such, and they're getting 100% return. Take my money. That is just risk. You don't know what company X does. You have no idea what the return is. You have not understood the market. Watch this. I go to the market now, the Nairobi Stock Exchange, and I look and I see which are the companies that have been doing well over the last couple of years. So you say, you know what, banks are doing pretty well. Yeah, banks, they've been doing pretty well. They're still lending, even in a year like this, when other companies have been making losses, them they're still making profits. So this is okay. Now, out of all these banks, good. Which one has many customers? Which
Yes.
one has had consistency? So I'm doing the research. I'm doing more and more. And then you see, okay, which bank has a plan for expansion? They have not even reached their potential and they're doing well. They have good management. When all the stories I've been reading in the newspaper about them are positive, and it's not just something that happened recently, it's over time. You see, I'm like the farmer who's preparing the land. I'm tilling, I'm putting manure by reading, by understanding, and then I put my money and I continuously invest. A farmer doesn't just farm once and then think, now I'm set for life. No, they have a plan for continuous investment. Now, when I put my money into Bank X, I've done the research, I've looked into the future, I've looked at the management, I've reduced my risk. But the potential for return is higher. And what then my goal is, you 20-year-old, you 30-year-old, is to get a consistent investment plan over time. So even if it's just starting with 1,000 bob, 500 bob per month, just do it faithfully. Next year, move from 500 to 1,000. The year after, move from 1,000 to 5,000. The year after that, move from 5,000 to 10,000. Because now you'll have gotten a new job, you'll have gotten to a new pace. That multiplying effect, the compounding effect, is where wealth is found. Let me tell you, there's a myth about this idea that it'll be one deal.
Yes.
I'll get one tender.
You're okay.
But what people don't understand is, imagine you have to prepare for that tender. You have to have done some work that will prove proof of concept that you can be able to handle the work of the tender.
Yeah, that's true.
So those people who you see, they got one tender and then they suddenly became wealthy, go and do some research. If you look into their history, they've done the preparation. Now what you're seeing is the harvest. We need to stop focusing on the harvest, have it as a goal, but look at what is the work of preparation right now.
Yes.
So every young person, 20-year-old, 30-year-old, you need to be focused on multiplying. So getting into business, investing in other people's businesses, either directly or through the stock market, and looking for opportunities, even like in real estate, this thing of buying land. Don't just buy and hold. The people who are making money are not the people who are buying and then just waiting. They don't know when they're going to sell. They just know land appreciates. See, that's what we've been told, but there's no strategy. The guys who are making money in real estate and in land have a strategy. So they're saying, you know what? This area is going to be growing soon. So they go there and they get their friends together, they buy a large parcel of land, they subdivide it, and they sell it quickly to others who are not as wise as them, who are thinking, I still need to buy a plot to survive. The guy who's selling you the eighth is the investor, not the person who's buying the eighth. Because the guy who's selling you the eighth has already made his 30% selling you. You're going to wait for 10 years to gain the 30%. He has made his 30% in 2 years by simply buying and subdividing. He had a strategy. This is how your SACCOs, your chamas actually make money. How? They're able to pool resources, go buy big plots and add value. So if you're in your 20s, if you're in your 30s and you're aiming for retirement, your goal right now is multiplying. So you have to take on more risk. And when I say risk, it means the investments that you can lose. It's like that farmer, the sower. He lost all the seed that was on the road. He lost all the seed in the stones. He lost all the seed that was in the thorns. But because he was faithful in sowing, the one that fell on fertile ground multiplied more than he could even imagine. So the same thing, you have to be willing to take on more risk in order to achieve that goal in future.
Okay. We'll talk shortly. We'll talk about the kind of investments, and I'm glad you brought in the whole land thing. This Maguta thing has become, we've become obsessed with it. You know, I have friends who have land everywhere, but they're still broke. So we'll talk about that as well. I love the angle that you've brought in. My friend, I have about 18 more minutes before I finish this conversation. Na naona maswali zako haujauliza. Don't wait until 5 minutes to 9 and then you ask me 56 questions. No, tumambio investment unafanya mapema in your 20s. Usingoje uko mbele. So even with your questions, throw them in now. 20316 is the SMS line. WhatsApp number is 0786 316 316. And Wednesday Financial Clinic, we get to hang out with CEO Sentono Miwethaka Katumia. We're talking about investing for retirement. Your questions are coming through on 20316. WhatsApp 0786 316 316. A couple of questions coming in, Wethaka. First one is what are some of the best investment vehicles for small money? You know, we talked about you don't have to wait until you have large amounts of money. So to that person who has 200 hapa, 500 pale, 1000 here and there, what are some vehicles they can use to invest that money?
So a small business are good places to put that amount of money because the return can be good. Just to give you an example, as I said, if you buy ingredients for 500 and you bake a cake and sell it for 1,500, that's a very good return. So small money, small businesses are a great place to start. Another good place for consistent investment are what we call unit trusts or mutual funds. Okay, so depending on where you are in the world, that means almost the same thing. Essentially, what you're doing is you are pooling your resources and you give it to what is called a fund manager. And this person invests on your behalf, and everybody in that pool gets the benefit of the returns that they get. Okay? So we have multiple fund managers. Many of the insurance companies have fund management companies. They are not part of the insurance company. They're actually a separate entity, but under the same brand. So you hear like there's Britam Insurance, but there's also Britam Investment, Sanlam, CIC, all of them, Old Mutual, they all have an investment wing. These are usually separate investment companies. Okay? And many of the, even the stockbrokers have some of these mutual funds or unit trusts. The good thing about them is, you see, if I want to go to the stock market to buy shares, I have to buy a minimum of 100 shares. Now, that means if the stock is worth 300 shillings, I have to buy 30,000 shillings to buy that stock. I don't have 30,000. The good thing is, instead of me going directly, I can go through one of these mutual funds or unit trusts. And I can give them, I think there are some that even have as little as starting amount, I think even 1,000 bob you can start. So if you save 200 shillings for 5 weeks, you go there and you start with that 1,000. You give them the 1,000, and the good thing is that 1,000, they then take it and pool it with everybody else's who's put into that fund, and they take that money and invest it on your behalf. So you can start with a very small amount and continuously put that cash into these investments, and it will grow over time. Those are good places for starting out. Two questions, I'll pull them in to become one question. For those who are already on the 4th floor into the 5th floor. Before you ask your question, sorry, because I know this will come up. Do not invest in these mutual funds and unit trusts if you have not understood how they work. So when you go to them, their job is to explain to you. You are a customer. Ask every question you want to ask. Make sure you understand what do they invest in. Because not all unit trust and mutual funds are the same. We have what is called like an I rate, which is an it's what is called real estate investment trust. So that one is investing in real estate. We have what are called equity funds. Those ones are investing in the stock market. We have bonds funds. Those ones are invested in the bonds. We have balanced funds. Those ones invest in everything, different things. So when you're getting involved, ask them, this is my goal. My goal is I want to multiply as much as I can. So which is the best out of the portfolio you have that I can start investing in?
Okay.
They should answer your questions. I thought I have to say that because sometimes people just invest without asking.
Yeah, very important. Yeah. So for the 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds who had not been investing for their retirement, the question is, where can they begin?
So if you have not been, so you need to multiply much faster in this period of time.
Yeah.
So some good encouragement. I think we talked about this last time. The KFC that we eat was founded by Colonel Sanders, who started KFC when he was in his 60s.
Yes.
So you can still start a good business then. So that's a huge multiplying factor. You also have to remember that when you're 40 and 50s, most likely you're earning more than that 30-year-old or that 20-year-old.
Yeah.
So it just simply means you cannot invest the 5K that you are investing when you are 20. Now you are investing 50,000, 100,000 per month if you can, because you're trying to accomplish the same amount of work in a shorter period of time.
Yes.
So the work is extra. But the good thing is generally most of the time you're earning a little bit more than what you are earning when you're 20. So, but you have to commensurately increase your investment in order to achieve that goal. So the process is still the same. You're looking for where can I multiply with calculated risk. We must take on more risk. I think this is something we must become comfortable with. And just remember, it's biblical.
Yes.
It's so funny. I think it was Bishop T.D. Jakes who was talking about the disciples. And he said Jesus had 12 disciples. Now, most of us can't even name all 12 of them. Like, we really can't. One of them betrayed him. There are about 6 of them. No. Now, 4 of them we don't even hear of again.
Yeah.
Other than the time we are told they were called on board. Like Bartholomew, where did he go?
Yes.
But with the few who were faithful, who wrote the Gospels, John, Matthew, Peter, who else was one of them? And eventually Paul, who was added later on. With those few, we can see the result of that investment. He was willing to take the risk.
Yeah.
When you take on risk, you will lose some, but the good thing is the ones that you win, you win big.
Okay.
So even for those people in their 30s, 40s, even their 50s, you have to understand what is the goal. If the goal is still that big, then you take the risk necessary to get there. If you have been investing and now what you're doing is you're approaching your retirement and you're saying, hey, now I want to understand. Now you want to move your assets into what are called income earning assets.
I love that.
So now I have plots. I have been investing for 20 years. Those plots, yes, they have value, but they have no cash.
Yeah.
So when you're approaching retirement, what is the most important thing? We talked about it last time. Cash, income. If you want to be comfortable in retirement, it's not about having assets that have no money, assets that have value but no cash.
Yeah.
You want to transfer your assets now into what are income earning assets. So if you had land, maybe it is time to now sell the land and purchase a rental property that will give you rental income. Maybe if you're tired of dealing with tenants and you had rental properties, you can sell those properties and maybe go to a government bond, put that cash where in a government bond, you don't have to chase a tenant, you don't have to chase anybody, they simply pay out the interest as cash.
Yeah.
So there are tools that are very good for income earning. If you have been investing in the stock market, you can start moving your small shares in different companies into what are more mature companies who give out more dividends. So that you put that investment in a mature company because you know they'll pay out my returns in good dividends.
Yeah.
And not like the up and coming companies where the return is by increasing the value of their shares. These mature companies, there's no growth plan. They're happy at the level they are dominant in the market, so they pay out any profit as dividend. you can begin to talk to your stockbroker about which are these companies that can pay me a better dividend. Hey, if you're 20, dividend is not your goal. Dividend is just an income. No, stop. Look for the one. If you're trying to multiply, you're looking for a stock which is going to grow over time. That's what we're looking for.
Wow.
My friend, let me tell you, this thing we have to get it right. Our risk appetite needs to be correct. You see, those are the terms that investment group. What you're saying is do the right investment for the goal that you have.
Yes, very true. I think one of these days we need to look at the different avenues where people can invest, because most of the questions are centered on that. People don't know where to take their money, whether it's a lot of money or whether it is not a lot of money. A lot of people don't know what to do with it. That's why you see in some of these groups on social media, I have 300,000. What business can I start? Because we really don't know.
And let me tell you this. I fault that questioning. And I say that person is in the wrong place.
Yes.
Because in this information age, the one thing that is in abundance is information.
Yeah.
If you go and go to these investment places, you know, some people have said, brokers, stockbrokers, they must be thieves. They have never even seen a stockbroker with their own eyes.
Yeah.
They have never asked them a question.
Yes.
Go talk to them. Go to these investment firms and talk to them. Go to these places where they're investing in land and ask questions. Look, I am in business. Our company, Centonomy, our primary work is education on investment.
Yeah.
Why don't you attend one of our events or go to our website, centonomy.com, and get the information? You have no excuse now on saying, I don't know where to go. What you're saying is, can somebody do this for me?
Exactly.
Who is going to do this for
Exactly,
me?
yeah.
You're not taking responsibility. What you're doing is parable of the talents again. You're the one who is saying, I've only been given one, and you're hiding it under somewhere. And then you're wondering where the problem is. Those other guys went out into the market and they multiplied. How did they do it? They tried. They asked questions. They invested. They didn't just sit back and say, who's going to invest this for me? I fault that thinking, saying that I don't know where to go. If you don't know, find out. I told you, our company, Centonomy, our goal is education on investment. You have no excuse. Come, we'll teach you. And even if you don't want us, buy books. How many books are out there on investment?
Yeah.
Please pick up The Richest Man in Babylon, Think and Grow Rich. What is it called?
Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad. You can buy our founder's newest book. It's called Making Sense by Waseke.
Yes.
Look, you have no excuse. Money-wise by Rina Hicks.
Yes.
These people who are saying, I don't know what to do with my 300,000, what they're saying is, can somebody tell me what to do? You will fail.
Wow.
Your job is to go into the market and discover. God has given you a brain. He has given you time. He has given you energy. He told you go and work. And I said, work is not just your job. Work is also discovery. It is exploration. This is what he has called us to do.
Wow.
He has called us to call those things that are not as though they are. If that person is asking at you which investment should they, the amount of information that is in this world right now, you have no excuse, and you have access to that information. You have no excuse. Now is the time to invest, and sometimes the investment is knowledge. Get the knowledge that you need. That's what we're doing. And the fact that someone has listened to us for these minutes, Pastor, they have invested.
Awesome. Waithaka Katumia, thank you. I'm always blessed when I host you. You are so full of information. Asante sana. I'm out of time for this discussion for today, my friend. Let's invest retirement in our idea to see wale wa kusumbua.
For this and more of our shows, log on to www.familymediaonline.com to enjoy a wide variety of programs, from current affairs to testimonials and features, pastoral and inspirational shows, kids entertainment, and so much more. Also stream live on www.familymedia.tv.